I'm going to give you a quick crash course on the divisions in USPSA. My favorite division and what I specialize in is single stack. So that means that we are shooting 1911s. In single stack, which is the 1911 division, you can shoot 40, 45 calibers for major scoring, and then you can shoot 9mm for minor scoring. Single stack mag shooting minor scoring have to have 10 rounds. You cannot exceed 10 rounds. For major scoring, you can shoot 8 rounds, and you cannot exceed 8 rounds. This makes single stack one of the most interesting divisions in USPSA because there's the back and forth whether or not to shoot major or minor. With major, you get more points if you're off the alpha center, but you have less rounds in your magazine. So there's a lot of options when it comes to single stack and choosing what works best for you as well as for that match. There is a lot of strategy involved in this division. This is what a single stack division belt looks like. You have a holster, you have the belt itself, you have an inner belt that's Velcro, and then you have quite a few magazines on the side. In a long course, you have a minimum of 21 rounds required by that stage, and some stages can go up to 32 round minimums. So I like to run 6 magazines just in case I need extra rounds on a stage, or just the way the course is designed, I want to do extra reloads because that course flows better. Next is the PCC division. This is pistol caliber carbine division. So it basically means you have a low caliber barrel in basically a rifle format. So this is a pistol caliber carbine. This is actually the one I used at PCC World Shoot this year, and it has a 9mm long barrel in it with a compensator. In PCC and USPSA, you can run multiple optics. They have to not be magnified. Magnification is not allowed in any optics division in USPSA. Now, on a PCC, there is no minimum number of rounds you can hold in a magazine. There is no maximum number of rounds you can hold in a magazine. So this is a very race gun division because of this. This is what a PCC belt looks like. As you can see, it has multiple magazine pouches on it. I like to run one in the front for reloads. I have a second one on the side for as a backup. And then I have a third one on here as my loading magazine for the start of a stage. It's on a belt, it has an inner that's Velcro as well. All right, next is production division. So this division is basically any off-the-shelf gun with minimum to 0 modifications on it. This is a CZ Shadow 2. This is a very common gun to use in production division. There is a weight limit in production division, so make sure if you're going to go shoot production that you check the weight limit to make sure that your gun is underneath that weight. This also applies to single stack. Your gun has to be underweight as well. And how they check that weight is they have a scale, they put in a magazine. This magazine is empty. They put in an empty magazine and then they set it on the scale itself and weigh it. Production, you have to have iron sights. So that means you cannot have an optic on it. It's the same thing with single stack. It has to be iron sights. In production, you have a 15 round magazine capacity. So your magazine can hold, say, up to 20 rounds, but you can only load 15 rounds into that magazine. Magazine extension pads are not allowed. So this is an extended magazine base pad, and that is not allowed in production division. So you have to run your standard magazine and make sure that your gun is to scale, it's underweight. There's a little bit of maintenance and gear check that goes into production, but it's fairly easy to step into. This is a really great platform that many competitors start USPSA in. This is what a production division belt looks like. You have a holster, you have multiple magazine pouches. I like to run 5 on my belt. Again, 15 round capacity. You have their extra ones just in case, or if a stage flows a particular way, you can do an extra reload. So that's what it looks like. It's Velcro and it has an inner belt as well. The next division is carry optics. So this is a production gun basically with an optic mounted on it. Carry optics, you have to run an optic on there. Again, it cannot be magnified, has to be a red dot like optic. Again, you can have green dots or whatever other dots out there, but it just cannot be magnified. This is a CZ Shadow 2. Again, this is a very common gun to use in carry optics, mainly because it's super heavy, but it also comes underneath the weight limit for carry optics. Carry optics does have a weight limit. Optics, again, very little modification can be done to this gun. This is one of the most popular divisions in USPSA today because it's so easy to get into it, and you can run a quote-unquote faster sighting system, which red dots are considered a little bit faster than iron sights. In carry optics, you can run an extended magazine base. There is a length limit on your magazine, so make sure that when you measure your magazines and put on the base pad that it is underneath the magazine limit for carry optics. I use the same belt for carry optics as I do production, so 5 magazine pouches and a holster. Now we get into limited. Limited is a very popular division as well. In this division, it's like single stack. You can have major and minor power factor. Unlike PCC and production and carry optic, those are minor power factor only. So in limited, this is again a really fun race division, but it also has a lot of strategy with it because there is that major minor power factor scoring difference. In minor, you can hold more rounds in your magazine, but it's just a handful. Versus major power factor, you have a couple less rounds, but you do have those extra points, which in a really big race gun division actually does help your score quite a bit. This was one of the biggest race divisions for many, many years, and it is very popular to this day. You can shoot basically any gun in limited division, as long as it fits in within the specs and the regulations of limited. So you cannot have an optic on it. It has to be iron sights. You do have a magazine length that you gotta stay under. You can make a bunch of different modifications to this gun. This is, again, considered one of the big race divisions. Now, that you can shoot so many different guns in this, whether it's polymer, whether it's a CZ, and completely metal, or you can even shoot a 2011 like double stack 1911. This is very popular within limited. You can have extended mag releases, you can change the grips, you can add a mag well, you can add an extended safety, you can even run a thumb rest if you wish. In limited, there are so many options and choices to make it as race gun ready as possible while still fitting in within the regulations. This is my limited gun setup. I have a holster, I have a belt, I have an inner to that. I also run a magnet on this. Magnets are allowed in limited, and I only have 3 mag pouches on this since the capacity in limited is so high because the magazine length is so long. Now we get into revolver division. This is one of the original divisions like single stack that helped create USPSA. In revolver, it does have major and minor scoring. So in major, it's one of those higher calibers, but you can only run 6 rounds. Whereas in minor, you can run 8 rounds. Most people who shoot revolver division run minor with 8 rounds because 6 rounds, it's really hard to break down stages and come up with a fast stage plan because you have so little amount of rounds on you. Power factor actually rules in revolver. There are specs you have to stay underneath for the revolver division. So make sure if you're going to go shoot revolver that you double check to make sure your gear is within those regulations. Revolver has to stay iron sights, and your loading devices and your belt have to stay within those regulations as well. Moon clips are very popular. I have seen speed loaders. This is a 22. In USPSA, if you shoot 22, your score does not count. We keep power factors there, meaning major or minor power factor there, to keep the sport as equal opportunity as possible. Shooting 22 is just not allowed. Recoil to 22, and it's very specialized, so in USPSA we do not shoot 22. 10x draw is allowed now in USPSA. You don't see it often, but for those of us who do carry, this is a great way to practice what we carry. The dying division, unfortunately, it's called limited 10. Now USPSA just recently made a change to the rules, meaning that in years past, limited basically, but only running 10 rounds. Limited 10, in the past you can only run iron sights, but since USPSA made a rule change, you can now run optics. This division is basically a limited gun, but only with 10 rounds. Many people were running 2011s, they were running production light guns, plastic guns. I've shot before where I've shot my 1911. It's kind of a misfits division. But now that you can run optics, we are seeing a little bit more of a spike in participation in that division. So it's becoming more and more popular again. The division was originally created for states that cannot have a magazine capacity over 10 rounds. So that division was specifically created to help those out there shoot and go to other matches across the country and still shoot their guns, shoot their division, shoot what they're used to out there. We have limited optics division. Now limited optics is basically a limited gun with an optics on it, and you can run your full capacity, making sure your magazines are within regulation. You can run an optic, again, no magnification. But you can run extended mag releases, you can run a mag well, you can have your gun heavier. So this is a really great division that has come up in the past few years and become extremely popular. It is right up there next to carry optics for popularity. Big race gun division where your gear does matter. Now I do not have one with me. I've never shot open except for when I shot a division and I accidentally got to bumped to open because I didn't double check my gear. That was within the division I was shooting, and it bumped me to open because the gear was longer magazines or something like that. Open, this is the biggest race gun division, meaning that gear is so important in this specific division. You can run an optic, but it doesn't have to be slide mounted like carry optics or limited optics in USPSA. Again, I don't have an open gun, my sister does, but this is close enough. So unlike in the rest of the divisions, except for PCC, you can run a compensator on the end of your barrel. It helps bring down the recoil for the gun, so it's very fast to shoot. Super long magazines, as long as they're within the largest magazine length, which I believe is like 29 or 30 round mag capacity. That's a lot, seeing that long courses are 32 rounds in USPSA and IPSC. You can get through almost the entire stage on one magazine. You can run drop holsters, race holsters. Again, this is one of the race divisions. This is one of the fastest divisions to shoot out there. Gear matters here. Flared base pads, extended mag release, extended safeties. 2011s are definitely the most popular gun to shoot in this division. There's very little regulation regarding open division in both IPSC and USPSA, but again, go check to make sure that what gear you have is going to work in that division and you're within its specs. So that is the divisions of USPSA.